As David said, my name is Jeannine Hedberg, and I'm a licensed Unity teacher here at Unity of Naples. And that means I can teach some classes and give a talk once in a while, and I can marry people and all kinds of fun things. So I'm really, really excited to be here. But I wanted to tell you about, there was a time in my life when I was really upset. And that was before I discovered Unity, I will tell you that. But I kept wishing that my life were different. I kept wishing that I got a better grade on that statistics class in college. I kept wishing that I lived in a better place. I kept wishing that I weighed 20 pounds less. And even when I prayed, at that point in my life, I prayed as a victim. Oh, God, please, you got to save me. I failed here. What can you do? And when I came to Unity, I discovered a whole set of tools. And we're talking about these tools all year long. And this month, we've been talking about imagination. And there are different aspects of imagination, but I think if you look at this month, the ones that really stand out for me are the one 2 weeks ago. What would love do? What would love do? When we ask a question and we're in a situation, what would love do? I've been using that for the past 3 weeks. It's been great. And last week, Reverend Martella Whitson talked about prayer when you're at the ledge, when you're right there ready to jump off. What does prayer do for us? What can prayer do for us? And Reverend Linda writes wonderful books. And this morning we're going to be talking about, the last Sunday we're talking about imagination, one of our 12 powers. And I'm going to use Reverend Linda's book kind of as a basis for it because she's taken Charles Fillmore, one of our founders, who really wrote about the 12 powers, and she's contemporized it, made it a little bit softer language, made it a little bit more contemporary for us. And so I really want to talk about imagination, not as a tool itself, but really as three really simple steps. I won't say they're easy. They're very simple, but I won't say they're easy. Now, the revealing word, which is really what we use as a basis for defining words in metaphysics, that was written by Charles Fillmore and many of his graduate students, his seminary students, many, many years ago, defines imagination as the faculty of mind that images and forms. It's the power to shape and form thought. And through this faculty, the formless takes form. Now, Albert Einstein also talked about imagination, and what Albert Einstein said is one of our top scientists of this age, said that imagination is everything. Imagination is actually more important than knowledge, and imagination is the preview of your world to come. And that's really what we talk about here at Unity, that the use of our power of imagination sets up the rest of our life. And more than that, it sets up the life of the world. Because as each of us go up the ladder, as each of us walk up the spiral stairs and recognize more and more of our spiritual truths, we raise the whole world up. That's how we raise the whole world up. So through the use of imagination and these three really simple steps, you'll be able to change your world, manifest, and really learn that you are not a human being with some spiritual powers. You are a spiritual being, 100% of a spiritual being, living as a human in this place. And so it's when we can recognize how much of us is spiritual, that's when wonderful, wonderful things happen. So this three-step process, the first step is we'll use the power of imagination to make a concept, to conceptualize something. And so this is a desire. We use imagination all the time. If I'm planning a trip, if I have to go to the grocery store, if I have a friend I haven't called in a while, we use the power of imagination on an ongoing basis. But here what we're talking about is, as I said in the prayer, in the beginning, God. In the beginning, good. So when we come up with an idea that we want to execute, an idea we want to bring into form, it starts in only one place, and that is in the beginning, God. It starts with the goodness of God. Every idea that we have is based in goodness, and it gets executed. It kind of comes through a filter of who we are and what our beliefs are. And so the more we can change our beliefs and know that we are good, that our essence is of God, As I like to say, we're a chip off the old block. I mean, we're a chip off the old block of God. We are 100% made of goodness. We may have had experiences in our past that shade things a bit, but our essence is good. Our essence is of God. And that's what I want everyone to realize, that we all have wonderful ideas, and they all come from God, but they're filtered through us. And the execution can vary, depending if we believe that we're good enough. Do we deserve it? Did we do well enough with our family, or are we divorced and it's really, I'm not going to find love again? Those are the things that we work with this process to change. And we work to change and revision, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We revision our past. We don't change the incidents that happened, but we use this process to look at what's happened in our lives and look to see if we can change the messages that we gave ourselves. Maybe that I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't bright enough, or that I wasn't loving enough. We can go back and look at what's happened in our past. And I'm not saying change the incidents, but change our view, change our vision, change the message we gave ourselves and sits inside of our brain through which everything else gets filtered. So the first thing is to really bring this concept forward. What do you want? What's your desire? And it can seem possible. I want a new dress for the wedding I'm going to, and it needs to be 2 sizes smaller. So we're going to, that could be a concept. And we can see the concepts that we come up with as possible or impossible. And that has to do with the stories that we tell ourselves and that we've told ourselves historically. So anyway, we can come at it from fear or from love. And I'll tell you a funny story. I grew up in a family where I had one pessimist and one optimist as parents. My father was a pessimist. He knew everything was going to someplace in a handbag. And my mother knew that everything was good and everything was fine. And my dad was wonderful. There was nothing bad about my father, but he really saw everything as needing to be worried about and needing to get his arms around it. And my mom was like, it's just wonderful. It's absolutely great. And I have both of those sides in me, and they kind of, walk back and forth. But I know that they loved each other. They raised a wonderful family. They had a wonderful life. But I know the approach that I've learned here at Unity is really that in the beginning, God, in the beginning, good, in the beginning of our thoughts, in the beginning of our day, in the beginning of a project, in the beginning, God. And that's the concept that I'm really working to bring forward here. That's the first step, that we bring forth from God, from divine mind, these ideas. And you can think that it's only calling my friend that I haven't talked to in 6 months. But that's a divine idea. There's a reason. And when we can listen to these divine ideas and work with them and do what we hear, then we're able to live as our spiritual selves. Now, there's lots of people that we've studied with. And I think that if you read the story of St. Paul, and what St. Paul did, even when he was in prison, was to write letters to the churches that he had established. And one of the letters that he wrote was to the church in Philippi, and that'd be from Philippians. And he said at the end of his letter, and it echoes what we're talking about here. It says, "Finally, beloveds, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, and if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things." So even St. Paul saw this 2,000 years ago, that in community, in families, in ourselves, in our work environments, we sometimes have moments when we don't necessarily agree with each other, or we don't necessarily see the vision. And so he's saying, in the beginning, God, in the beginning, good. Think on these things on a daily basis. Now, step number 2. So we've got our concept, we've got our idea. Now we form a vision. We do what we call in Unity, clothe the idea. We put clothes on it. We get our arms around it. We see it. We vision it. And visioning isn't just seeing it far off over there someplace. Visioning is actually feeling. What will I feel like when I have this? What will I see? If I'm cooking a meal, what will I smell? What will that taste like? What will that new dress look like? And we clothe ourselves in our mind. We vision what this will be. So this is step number 2, that we vision our idea. And it can be a vision board. You've seen vision boards with pictures and words and things on it. It can be a thought that you hold in your mind. It could be a video that you make and you watch every day about what your vision is. Just like the class that we're going to have with Reverend Carla, we're going to be looking at history and we're going to be visioning the future. It's a wonderful opportunity to come together as a community, and I hope you all partake. Now, there's a wonderful writer that I'm sure you've all heard of in the past, and James Allen. And he wrote, As a Man Thinketh, and I think of it as a person thinketh these days. But in his last chapter, he talks about, they who cherish a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in their hearts, will one day realize it. Columbus cherished a vision of another world, and he discovered it. Copernicus fostered a vision of multiplicity of worlds and a wider universe, and he revealed it. Buddha held the vision of a spiritual world of stainless beauty and perfect peace, and he entered it. Therefore, cherish your visions. Cherish your visions. Cherish your ideals. Cherish the music that stirs in your heart, the beauty that forms in your mind, the loveliness that drapes your purest thoughts. For out of them will grow all delightful conditions, all heavenly environment, but if you remain true to them. A lot of people have written about this. It's not new. These things aren't new that we talk about. But if we embrace them and use them as a practice, this is step 2. We have our idea, we have it. Now we make a vision, and we feel it, we talk about it. Even if it's just with ourselves, we talk about it, we share it with others, and that's how we are able to create and manifest. Now there's one more step, and that step is embodiment. And basically, let me tell you a story about my apartment where I live. About 15 years ago, I was driving around Naples, and I drove down this street, and here was this cute little community with lots of flowers, and it was little condos, and I thought, gosh, I would love to live in that community someday. Drove past it, went on my way, but I remembered that community. And less than a year later, I needed to move from where I was living, and my roommate at the time said, well, you know, I have a nice gentleman I want to have move in with me, so could you go elsewhere? And I said, sure, no problem. And so I got to Naples Daily News, and I went to the rentals, and there was this great box ad. It said, mature person wanted for lovely one-bedroom apartment in a beautiful community. And I thought, well, I could be that person. So I called the number, met the landlord at 1 o'clock and said, yep, I'll take it. And it was that community. I hadn't thought of it, but it was that community. I live in that community today. And those are the things that when we envision it, I felt so passionately about that, how beautiful it was. And I just drove by it, but I felt that passion. I said, that's where I'd like to live one day. And I live there today. That's the way that these things happen. You can call it synchronicity, and it is synchronicity. But we have an idea, I need to live someplace else. We have a vision, oh, that's a great place, I really like that. And we embody the emotions that we would feel if we lived there. It's a really simple example, but it's a really easy example to embrace. And so when we talk about embodying, this may be the hardest of the 3 steps, but basically, we have this vision for the future, and we don't just think about it. We actually change our spiritual core. We change our spiritual self. We don't come at it as a human being. We work to come at it as increasing our spiritual acceptance, our spiritual worth, our spiritual vibration around this idea. So we become I won't say better, we become a more spiritual person. We embody the spirituality that we would have if we had this idea. It could be something as simple as a new job. It could be something as simple as a new condominium. It could be something as complex as world peace. But the process is the same. We have an idea, we have a vision, and we embody what the principles we would need to embody to have this vision come forward. Again, I won't say it's easy, but here, when we envision it, we live as if the situation had happened. We live as if the situation had happened. And this is very much what Jesus did, I believe. When he lived as the Christ, he embodied that perfection of God. And he did these same 3 steps. He had an idea, he had a vision, and he embodied what needed to happen, the spiritual quality of living as the Christ, and it happened. Whether you're looking at the wine at the wedding in Canaan or Lazarus, raising Lazarus from the tomb, these were the same steps. There's a wonderful writer, his name's Neville Goddard. I don't know if any of you have read him, but Neville Goddard lived in the middle of the last century. He died in 1972, but he wrote kind of into the 40s and the 60s. And he actually wrote that he felt that imagination was actually God. He equated imagination with God. And he felt that imagination, as Jesus has imagination, was God incarnate in Jesus. He wrote a lot of books about that, but these are all the same ideas that we're working to bring forward here. So anyway, do you want some homework? All I'd like you to think about this week is this idea that we are spiritual beings having an experience on this earth plane, and that we get divine ideas from God, from goodness. In the beginning, God. We're able to have a vision of them, whether it's making a beautiful painting as an artist, whether it's sewing something, creating a meal, whatever it is. And then we embody the spiritual principles we would need to embody to bring that forward. If it's something like world peace, we have got to be the peace within ourselves. If it's finding a wonderful love in the world, it's what am I embodying within myself, and that's acceptance, and that you're good enough, that you're blessed, that this person is there. So it's those are the 3 steps, and you can use them all throughout your day. But what I'd like to do right now is invite Amy and Chessie back up. And Reverend Linda, who was here last week, has a wonderful meditation. It's short. I'd just like us to come together. Amy and Chessie are going to play some wonderful music, and we'll come together, take some deep breaths together, and just meditate on these ideas.
Place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still and know.
Let's take a deep breath together and know that as I breathe into the center of my brain, between my ears and eyes, I flood my brain with light, the color of midday cloudless sky, the palette of spiritual imagination. Every breath I take, every breath I release, leaves me floating in the open sky of possibilities. Nothing can weigh me down. Nothing can inhibit the free expression of my divine imagination. Soaring in infinite space, all things are possible. Divine imagination is my spiritual name and true nature. I am a creator by divine design. I reach beyond assumptions and limitations, dreaming of magnificent possibilities. By the power of conception, I catch a marvelous idea of what I can be, what I can do, and what I can experience. I can tell that this idea is mine to express by its captivating appeal. I recognize in this idea the possibility of fulfillment that I have longed for. The marvelous idea I have grasped fleshes out as a vision and a purpose. Like a seed planted in the ground and watered, this idea is nurtured by my power of vision. I envision the fully formed blossoms now, while the seed remains in the deep womb of possibilities. I am the spiritual power of imagination, claiming my divine identity. I call forth from within me my rightful divine capacities, pouring them out in fulfillment of my purpose. I have eyes to see the good within me. I have eyes to see the good around me. I have eyes to see the good path ahead of me. Whatever seems impossible, by my power of imagination, I declare, all things are possible. All things are possible.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still, and know I will make a quiet place. I will make a quiet
And so it is and shall always be. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Amy and Jesse. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you.